Okay, let's talk about our first assignment here, which is going to be to create a digital name tag for yourself. And when we get back into school, I will be printing these out for you if you are coming back in person. And I'll be putting them on your bins for you in your classroom. So this will be something that we'll, see in the classroom to kind of decorate your little storage space that you'll have. So digital name tags, when you're ready to start doing it, you're going to click on the assignment here, and then I have an example for you, and I also have the link for the Pixlr website, and then this video is going to help you understand how to use Pixlr. If you had me for intro art last semester, you should know what to do with Pixlr. If not, I'm going to go through some basic stuff here. It should be pretty simple. So you're going to start by clicking Create New once you're on Pixlr. And then it's very important that you have the correct proportions for this so that when I print them out, they actually fit on your bin. So it's going to be 750 by 2250. So you want the longer one to be your width and then 750. So call it like your name would be probably the best title. It doesn't really matter as long as you know what it's going to be called. 2250, 750, and create. Okay, now this is going to be like your rectangle space that you're going to have for your name tag. How you choose to fill it is totally up to you. The key is just to kind of show off your personality a little bit, have some fun with digital editing, and see sort of what you can do. So I would recommend probably starting with your name. You can do whatever you want. If you want to sketch out a few ideas on paper first, you can. But the text tool here is how you will add your name, most likely. Add new text and type in what you want to say, probably your name. And then there's some basic stuff here, text tools, alignment. You should be familiar with that. You can pick out a cool font. There's tons to choose from. I tend to like ones that are more like cursive and swirly, so I'll try one of those. Sizes. This is all basic stuff. I mean, nothing that like you haven't done on Google Docs before, right? Pixlr's a really cool digital editing software because it's web-based, because it's free, which means there will be some ads that pop up every so often. So you'll just have to exit out of those. It's not a big deal. But it's definitely a super cool tool that's just free and available for you. When we're actually in digital art, we'll be using Adobe Suite stuff, which you have to pay for, which our school gets for us, which is really nice and has a lot more versatility with that, a lot more options for the different tools that you can do. But this is still a really good introduction, and a lot of the tools are very similar to what we'll be working with Adobe. So do like a color if you want. You can space out your letters more if you want them more like spread out. I don't. You can add a color to your background. You can add outline to the text. Let's say if I want like a pink outline, but I want it to be smaller, I can turn that size down. Ooh, that hurts my eyes. Let's do white. You can add a shadow to your text if you want. It's good to just kind of play around with it and see what you can do. I'll put a little purple shadow behind it. And so that's basically it for text. So you'll put your name on it, of course. What you do other than that is totally up to you. I do want you to do other things. So I want you to fill the space. You have this whole rectangle to work with. How you choose to fill it is completely up to you. I want you to kind of show off your personality a little bit. This will help me sort of get to know you in our first week of class. So if there's like pictures that you think kind of represent your style, your personality, you could put that in. There's a drawing tool here. So if you want to like add in some more drawing, you can do that. You will probably have to add a new layer. So layers is something that's going to be really important to know how to do for basically every assignment we'll be doing. It's super helpful when you're making a digital artwork. So over here on the right is your layers tab. Just kind of keep track of that and know what you're doing. So this is my text layer tab. When I want to add a new layer, I can do that. I can add an empty layer. So like if I wanted to add some drawings or something, I could pick my tool, I could pick the size of my brush, pick the color that I'm doing. Maybe I want it to be a little bit transparent, and I can start kind of adding in some fun swirls or whatever it is that you want to do. Okay. And I covered up my text here. So if I want the text to come on top, that's what this layers tab is really great for. Whatever is on top shows up in front. So if you want to keep on drawing behind the name, just make sure that the drawing layer is below your text layer. So I'll add some more drawings. So there's also a shape tool. If you want to add specific shapes, you can do that. Pen would be a little bit thinner. You can erase what you've done in here and just kind of work in this drawing layer. Or you can add like an image layer. So maybe I want to add an image in, and I can pick that image from my computer. So if you have something already downloaded on your computer, you can use that. If you want to like take a picture for this assignment, you could do that. If you've been in my class before, you should know how to get a picture from your phone to your computer. Basically just upload it to your Google Drive and then download it to your computer. That's the easiest way to do it. I will be adding in pictures of my cats because I think that expresses my personality and what's important to me. This is a pretty big picture, so I'm going to zoom out. And then I'm going to bring it down to just the face is all I want from him. I'm going to go ahead and add in my other cats. Okay, so that's all my cats. Quick rule of thumb here, whichever layer you have selected, whichever one has that blue outline around it on the side here, that is the one you're currently editing. So keep track of that. If you keep accidentally clicking on the wrong layer and editing the wrong thing, you can do these three dots here and you can lock the layer, and that no longer allows you to click on the picture that's a part of that layer. And if you want to edit it, then you can unlock it. So that's a good thing to do. If you want to sort of only see one layer at a time, you can make them invisible by clicking off these check marks. So I just want to work on 2 at a time here, and I'll zoom in. And I want to work on getting rid of this line in between this picture and this picture. So all that means is I need to sort of erase part of this picture. So I'm going to make sure that he is selected. And then I'm going to go over here to this cutout tool and use my drawing cutout. Again, if you were in intro, this is not new to you. If you weren't in intro last semester, then just kind of click around and figure it out. Honestly, a lot of this is self-explanatory. Just kind of see what stuff does and have fun with this. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to be, again, like expressing your personality. So I'm going to make this brush nice and big, and I'm going to turn up that softness, which means my lines that I cut are not going to be that harsh. So I'm going to remove everything that I brush on top of. And again, making sure that this layer is selected. So if I go along this line and start drawing what I want to get rid of, then it disappears. And if that line is super hard, you'll get like a really cut version of it. So let's make it as hard as it can be. Just cuts right out. But I like that fading look because I think it's cool to kind of fade the image into each other. So I'm going to undo what I just did. Another really good tool to know how to use is the undo button. And then I'm going to keep that soft and then just get rid of those lines in between images so they kind of fade into each other. And I'll go ahead and get rid of this one because I know I'm going to need to for my other cat who I'm fading in here. And then I want to work on just this guy, so I'll make him invisible. And I'll just work on that line in between him, so making sure he's selected, and then I can get rid of that hard line there so that doesn't show up in anything. Okay, and then let me bring back him and bring back him. I want to get rid of all of this out here. I don't need any of that, but I'm going to need to make sure that I have him selected because you're only going to edit the layer that you have selected. So keep track of that. If you're ever doing something and you're like, why isn't this working? Check the layers because most likely you don't have the right layer selected, and that's just a very common problem for me. Okay, so fading pictures, kitty kitties. All right, I'd say that's pretty good. They look nice and faded all together. And right now I have all of them like on top of my name. So of course, if I want my name to be in front, I just move that to the top, and there we have it. But what I'm going to do is keep working on these images here. Now that I have them all faded together, I think I want to work with them as one layer instead of 3 separate layers because I want to do some editing to the images themselves. So I'm going to click these buttons here and I'm going to merge my layers. Merge down just means you're merging it with the layer that is directly below it. So now I have them all merged into one layer, and I'm going to click on adjustments or filters or whatever. This is, your basic photo adjustments. You can turn up your saturation, your brightness, and all of that. This does some cool things. Just play around with it and kind of figure out what these different things do. I like this one. I think it's fun because it turns it into rainbows. I love rainbows. Let me turn that off really quick though, just to show you one more tool. You don't have to use every single tool that's available to you on this thing, but there are some cool ones that I can show you. So I just showed you that cutout tool. That's how to kind of merge images together, get rid of backgrounds and stuff like that. Adjustments, just basic photo stuff. Filters is kind of making your photos look a little weird. Effects, same sort of thing, like filters. If you think of like Instagram filters, that's kind of what effects are. Um, Liquefying is fun if you want to add some like wonkiness to your image. So I have this layer selected. If I want to like make the boy's eyes super big, I can do that, and that tends to look really, really weird. Let me just enlarge those eyes. If I turn up the strength, it'll get bigger. So you can kind of hold it down and keep it expanding out like a giant balloon, which can look really weird. I could also shrink the eyes if I wanted to. So these would be a good tools if you're trying to like, make things look weird if that's part of your style. I prefer my guys looking cute, so I'm gonna undo all of that I just did. Okay, so another one is uh, different patching tools, so things that'll kind of blur things together. Clone stamp is a cool one because you can paint certain parts of the image in other parts of the image, so you choose your source. So let's say I want to paint an eye, choose the eye as my source, and then I pick the size of my brush. And again, that softness will kind of make the outside of what you're painting a little blurry. And let's say I want to paint his eye like in the middle of his head. Right? So by choosing that source, I'm just taking that part of the image and I'm moving it over here. So again, if you want some weird stuff in your pictures, you can do that. I think that's pretty much it for the basics. There are way more tools than this, but let's just let you kind of click around and figure that out. That's fine. So I'm going to add in that filter that I wanted to add for the rainbows. And then these ones down here, different elements you can add. So if you want an overlay over your image, different effects. If it has this little gold symbol there, that means it is premium, which means you have to pay for it, which means it's not free. So don't click those. Just click the ones that are free. Ooh, that's cool. I could do some space ones. Normally, when you're seeing that menu like that, and it's just kind of these very basic words, when you click on it, there's a whole bunch of different ones you can choose from. So that like group was space, and now there's all these different options for space images that I can overlay. So let's do this one. I like the like galaxy dust, and then I can turn that transparency down so that you can see through it a little bit more. So maybe it's just a little bit of starriness all over top. Okay, so that would be like a little overlay that I could do. There are stickers and shapes and borders that you can add if you want to. Again, just keep track of the fact that these ones are premium. And once you click on this group, there should be a lot of different options within it. So if you want to add like a little frame or something, you can do that. And then the final thing would just to be make sure my name is on top. I'm going to get rid of the drawing layer. So I'm just going to click those three dots there and delete. All right, so how am I looking? Kind of covered up my cat's faces here with my name, so I'm gonna make that smaller actually. Make sure your layer is selected, and then this tool is how you kind of shrink things and move them around. So make sure that tool is selected if you're trying to make things smaller or move them. All right, and that's it. My digital name tag is done, and I have a lot of my personality in there. I love rainbows, I love sparkles, I love my cats, I love fun, fancy lettering. So this is all me all around. So now I'm going to save it. So go down here to this blue button and click save. This is also an important thing to know before you finish. Like if you start working on it and then you need to go do something else and you need to step away from the project for a little while, technically Pixlr should save it on your Chromebook so that the next time you open up Pixlr, it should still be there technically, but I don't trust that. And so I think the best thing to do, if you have to step away and come back to this later, is to save your whole file as a PXD. That means that you are still working on it and that you want to open it up in Pixlr again. And that just ensures that when you come back to Pixlr, if for some reason your project isn't there, you can add it in by selecting your file that is a PXD file saved on your computer. If you are totally done and you don't need the in progress project anymore with all the layers and stuff, just save it as a JPEG. That is your typical picture file, and that is what will work for turning it into me on Google Classroom. So JPEG, you can have high quality, that's totally fine, and then download. Okay, so I've saved my finished name tag. It has downloaded here, so I can go back to Google Classroom. And for you, when you click on this assignment and you click, you should see something down here that says View Assignment. Once you click that, you should be able to add in a file, which is your finished digital name tag, and you are good to go for that project. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Again, Pixlr, just click around and kind of figure out what things do. The point is just to fill your space, show off your personality, have fun with it, and do a couple different digital editing tools just to show me that you played around with the software and kind of got a little bit out of it, okay? So go ahead and get to that.